Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today, we have racing in all four series coming your way with the NASCAR Legend Series, the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, as well as the Cup Series. Now, as we will be going to Texas Motor Speedway on the Cup Series side of things and for the trucks as well. Xfinity will be at Michigan, and here we are in the NASCAR Legend Series at the Charlotte Dirt Track, where we're coming off of our first win in I don't remember how long. I think it was the first season in the NASCAR Legend Series in the playoffs that we got our last win previously. So we have been improving in this series, and we bring our hopeful talent into the Charlotte Dirt Track. But unfortunately, it was pretty much non-existent here for myself in Charlotte. Now, as I hovered around the 10th position for really the whole race, so there really wasn't much to see in this one. Now, as we got up to 7th for a brief amount of time, but that was really as far as I got. We come straight through to about the halfway point here in this race, and we were once again 8th, 9th, 10th place, all in around that area here as we came through turns one. Got a little bit rough there with a few other drivers, and we were up into 6th for the time being, but we quickly were back down to 8th, 9th, and 10th once again by the time we got to the end of this race, especially making mistakes, got to the outside wall. That put us back as well. Now it's cut straight through to the final lap, 10th place behind Jeff Gordon as we came through at a turn two. Jonathan Cadell had already come through to win in the number 6 car as I sail it off into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, and we're at least going to get a top 10 out of it here in Charlotte as we do beat Jeff Gordon to the line. But an extremely unfortunate race for us here in the Charlotte Dirt Track. Now, it could have been a lot worse, but definitely should have been a lot better. So I just didn't have a lot of speed, unfortunately, in the car here today. As Kyle Larson second, Michael Cozy Jr. ends up there in the third position. Now, as you see, Ryan Blaney and David Schodel's at the bottom of the grid as we come through into the Truck Series race here at Texas Motor Speedway, where we have community member Garrett Gamble behind the wheel of our number 77 going at racing Ford F-150 here for us here tonight in Texas. As we went down towards turns 1 and 2, we had the 15 there of Tanner Gray up the inside. Now, Texas usually a track where we can hopefully get to victory lane. We've won races here in the Truck Series before in our team for going racing, so the goal was at least a top 5 at the absolute minimum here today in Texas now. And sure enough, Garrett was working his way up into the top 5 here in the later stages of this race, so he was at least matching our expectations here now as he came through at a turns 4. You can see the 16 out in front right now, Austin Hill, looking like he was going to pull off the potential victory here today now as we come straight through to the final lap of this race. Garrett kind of just maintained 4th place for the majority of the final few laps, and as it came through turns 3 and out of turns 4, it wasn't going to be a race victory here today in Texas, but still a strong top 5 effort. 4th place for us here in the SpeedCash.com 400 from Texas Motor Speedway's Austin Hill picks up the victory there. Tim Richmond in P3, and rounding out the top 10, you had Corey Haim. Rounding out the top 20 was Tate Fogelman, as well as at the very bottom of the grid, you had Josh Rayom as we come through into the Xfinity Series now here with Daniel Suarez behind the wheel of our number 77 Yellowheart Ford Mustang here from Michigan. For the second consecutive weekend here in the Xfinity Series, unfortunately, we failed inspection, so we had to start at the back again here from Michigan, which meant Suarez had a lot of work cut out for him here throughout this race. Now, as Justin Allgaier started this race up there on the front row, was looking very strong early after picking up the win in the last episode at Mid-Ohio. So once again, we kind of mentioned we're on this farewell tour going on to a lot of these tracks for the final time ever in our NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. Now, I will say that in NASCAR 21, you might see some form of NASCAR Heat 5 integrated into that series, simply because we don't have trucks or Xfinity in NASCAR 21 Ignition, and I still want to be able to incorporate those two series in some way. So you might still see this game to some form in NASCAR 21 for our career mode there. Now, as Suarez, at the time he came through to the final lap here, he had actually crossed the line for a top 5 finish in Michigan after starting at the back there, so he finishes 4th just like we did with Garrett Gamble in the Truck Series. So a 10th place finish in the NASCAR Legend Series and 2 4th place finishes to back that up here in the 2 Trucks and Xfinity Series races. Now, as we come through into the Cup Series at Texas Motor Speedway, I decided, you know what, let's run our throwback paint scheme to Brad Kozlowski for one more episode. I really was proud of this job I did with this 6-car paint scheme right here. So I said, you know what, we're just going to run it one final time here in Texas and see what we can pull off. So here on our qualifying attempt with a goal of a 29.846, we had come through to cross the line and hit a 30.229, putting us all the way down in P25 for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. So not the qualifying effort we were looking for, to say the least. We definitely got our work cut out for us now. As you can see, Daniel Hemrick at the very bottom of the grid, but we look through the rest of the grid. Josh Berry down there in P29. He's gotten a couple wins on the season now. Rounding out the top 20 was Ryan Preece, and then up towards the top 10 you had Chase Elliott and our teammate Christopher Bell there in P11, but on pole it's going to be Derek Kraus. Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway, ready to take the green flag here at this track that used to be good about a decade ago, and then after a reconfiguration and repave, they completely ruined this race track. It does not look great in Microsoft Flight Simulator, by the way. The track opened back in 1996 here, and it's just so unfortunate to see how much they ended up ruining this beautiful racetrack.
I see a lot of 6 fans up there in the stands. Let's see if we can get a top 20 finish here.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Hopefully we can pull that off. There you hear myself on the radio to the team getting ready to go green here from Texas Motor Speedway for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. A lot of work our way today. This is one of the toughest tracks on the schedule, even when you are in the best car on the grid. So right now we are close to having a really, really good car again, like we did with the 24 car with Gordon Hendrick Motorsports, but we're still not quite there yet. So we know today is going to be a tough race for us no matter what, with just our car being good or bad, and we don't know exactly how it's going to drive yet, but we're about to find out as the green flag is out here for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 here in Texas Motor Speedway now. So a lot of work to do today now to keep this Roush LeBron car inside the playoffs. Now fortunately we've had some good strong performances lately, and a lot of the bubble drivers have had rough days, and that's put us comfortably right now above the cut line by over 30 points. So definitely looking good right now at the start of today's episode. Now will it stay that way? We have no idea now, as it's very, very easy for things to go south for us here. Now one driver I might keep an eye on today is that number 23 DoorDash Toyota Camry of Bubba Wallace. I don't know what it is, but every time we come to Texas Motor Speedway at this point in the schedule, he seems to find something and usually wins this race, as well as this seems to be the turning point every time we come around to this point of the season for that 23 team. Bubba Wallace winless so far this season, but I feel like today is going to be a turning point for that team, and they're going to step it up, maybe win this race, and if not, they're still going to probably have a good run and have a strong rest of the season if the trends continue like they have in the past seasons for that 23-11 team. Now Lewis Hamilton, shocker, was leading the way on lap 4. He won a couple stages last episodes in Darlington. Unfortunately for him, his lead didn't last long. He ended up giving up the lead to the number 83 of Christian Eckes there for that Red Bull Toyota Camry. Now as I got passed by the 84 of Chris Buescher, who started at the back of the grid, and I was fighting as hard as I could, of course. Now on lap 10, the caution had come out for the first time here today, and nobody was coming into the pit lane. Now as actually we look up in front of us, Bubba Wallace, who was leading, ends up pitting, and then a bunch of other drivers decide they're going to pit right at the last moment, so I end up as well coming into the pit lane with everybody. So we end up dropping down to P35, but we have the advantage now of a lot of slower cars because of the tire advantage in front of us. So this is going to be an opportunity to pass a lot of the fast cars here late in this first stage, which we're about halfway through now of this first stage here. Chase Elliott out in front in that Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet Camaro there for McLaren. Harrison Burton just in front of myself now on the exit of turns. We've talked about it a couple times this season, how it's surprising he hasn't been able to find victory lane yet, but we're not even halfway through this season yet, of this final season of the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. You might also notice I'm uploading this video on the same exact data that I uploaded the Darlington video. We're going to be doing a few times per week now, double uploads of career mode, probably 2 or 3 times a week, so we can make sure we get this done in time before NASCAR 21 Ignition comes out. So now as Joey Logano tries to give us a big push through turns one, he's really trying to emphasize us trying to make this push to finish this career mode series, I guess, now as we're 4 wide down this back straightaway for a brief moment. But like I said, just doing a few double uploads here and there per every single week leading up to NASCAR 21, simply so we can finish this career mode not like a day before. I want to finish 3, 4, 5 days before NASCAR 21 Ignition, so we can be pretty comfortable there. But we come through now on to 10 laps to go, going down into turns 1 right behind that 47 to Tony Bradinger. We ended up moving up to P14 alongside Rajat Karuth, but then the caution comes out again, and we were the first car in the field now, or the highest car throughout the field that had pitted under the last caution, so everybody in front of us has to pit, and we are going to be the leader for this late stage 1 restart. So are we going to be able to win stage 1? Unlikely, because we don't have raw speed in this car today, and there's still a lot of fast drivers up here in the mix with us here already late in stage 1, as we are back once again underway, coming to 5 laps to go side by side with our rival of Joey Logano. He gave us some rear end damage earlier in this stage, so we're definitely gonna have to get that fixed. It was definitely feeling a lot freer in the back end, so definitely, like I said, want to get that repaired as soon as we get into the pit lane once again at the end of stage 1. Kyle Larson already pouncing on an opportunity there to my inside as we go down this back straightaway. He got to my inside a lot faster than I was expecting, so he kind of caught me off guard right there. And then we have the 83 Red Bull of Christian Eckes tucked in behind him as well now as we exit turns 4. And I really wasn't trying to fight these guys too hard because I knew I didn't have anything for them, and we would continue to fall. Bubba Wallace had gotten up into 3rd place here in the final 3 laps of the first stage. Sam Mayer for McLaren up my inside down into turns 1. And we were just going backwards, unfortunately, but thankfully it didn't go any further backwards than that. We come straight through to the final lap of stage 1. Bubba Wallace had taken the lead, and I had already mentioned he's going to be very, very strong here, I think, today, and he is proving that. Derek Kraus getting close to our back bumper. Now, I had my teammate of Tyler Reddick holding up a lot of people, and that's the reason I was able to stay comfortably here in 5th on these final few laps of stage 1. So down the front straightaway, we will hold off Derek Kraus to come through to finish P5 in stage 1. So a very strong first stage effort here for us in Texas Motor Speedway in this Miller Lite Ford Mustang. So I was pretty satisfied with that effort there, as Bubba Wallace will pick up, I believe, his first playoff point throughout this whole season so far for 2311 Racing. His teammate of Kraus, of course, has already won a couple races. Bubba has not yet, and could change that, though, today with his potential first win on the season as Bubba Wallace wins stage 1. Back from Texas, getting ready to go green for the start of this second middle stage of this race here, where we gain 1 spot on the pit lane, along with a lot of people here, as we're up to P4 for the start of stage 2 alongside Kyle Larson. There's a stage winner from stage 1 of Bubba Wallace leading the way to the green flag. Here's its time to get amped in Texas Motor Speedway. Down to the 7th position here at the end of the first opening couple of laps in Texas in stage 2. So wasn't what we were looking for, but we also expected that, because we know we really don't even have a top 10 car here today in Texas. So the fact that we finished top 5 in stage 1 was exceptional. So now as we came through to lap 4, we were continuing to lose positions, unfortunately, so we just continue to fall down the order, and it dropped down to about P11 here, behind the 7 of Eric Jones. And then as we would come through to lap 6, we had fallen down to lap 12, but then there was a moment in front of us where we had the 16 of Kaz Grala on the inside line blowing up. Everybody went up to the top, slowed down, and I just cruise on through to 2nd place. Now, just as quick as we gained all those positions, we would lose all of those positions nearly just as quick, it felt like, because I still have no speed in this car. So everybody that we had passed would drive right back on by us here. There goes Eric Jones, and then Kyle Busch would follow through down into turns 1, and we would be once again down to about 10th place. So we actually were all the way in 10th right up to lap 17 when I decided we're going to come into the pit lane here. A few laps, about 2 or 3 laps earlier than the majority of the field here, because I just didn't see any other alternative at this point to come up with ideas of what we could do. So we put 4 tires on the car, 2 cans of fuel, and no adjustments because the car is driving fine here today in Texas. It's just the raw speed that we are lacking. So now on the exited turns 4, everybody's starting to make their pit stops. Josh Berry actually into the pit lane, had blown an engine, so he was out of the race. Then we have a car stopped on the track, and that's Zane Smith, and that's going to trap us a lap down as the caution comes out. Fortunately, we do get the lucky dog, but what in the world was Zane Smith doing? He was in the middle of the track, stopped. I don't know how he got there. Must have spun out somehow. But a baffling moment right there, as that would leave just a 1-lap dash to decide the stage 2 win, and nobody would get going on this restart. And we had Eric Jones leading the way on this final lap here in stage 2. He's got 2 wins on the season so far, and we would just cruise to the end of stage 2. So we got P35 as Eric Jones would pick up the stage victory. So, not the ending to stage 2 we were hoping for, as it didn't help that 8 car right there was stopped in the middle of the racetrack in turn 3. Awkward situation overall, but now we have to spend all of stage 3 trying to fight our way back up to the area that we've been hovering around for the majority of this race, surprisingly, which has been about 10th place or so. So, hopefully we can pull it off as Eric Jones wins stage 2 from Texas Motor Speedway. Back from Texas Motor Speedway, Lewis Hamilton hasn't been dominating today, and I failed to highlight this, but he is out of this race 45 laps down. He DNF'd earlier in a caution, and that's why we haven't seen the Lewis Hamilton of usual, as we are back under the way for the start of stage 3 here. So plenty of racing to go, just under 30 laps to go. Now we will have to make a pit stop here under green flag conditions, under caution. We don't quite know yet now, but Eric Jones picked up his first stage win of the season. He's won 2 races. Of course, his first one came at Homestead, Miami, but he hasn't actually won any stages yet. So nice playoff point for that McLaren racing team. And honestly, with Lewis Hamilton being out of this race, this opens up the door for a potential new winner for sure here today. Now, as we could see, maybe Bubba Wallace be the one that pulls that off, as he has been so strong today in Texas. And just like I said, this is like that point in the season where that team seems to figure it out and find that speed. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Now, has actually gotten to the outside wall on the end of that first lap there in stage 3, so that was a bit embarrassing. Now as Derek Kraus is out in front, so it was 23-11 racing right now, P1, P2 here as we went down the backstretch. So they were having a really tremendous showing here. Now as Kraus, he was able to go back-to-back earlier in the season, win 2 races in a row, and then he's been kind of slowing down since then. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of get back on track, or maybe they're kind of swapping with that 23, who's now going to kind of take over for a couple of races. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I was continuously on the move here in stage 3, of course, trying to rebound from having to be in the position to take the lucky dog there when that caution came out at the terrible time towards the end of stage 2. We had passed one of the fastest cars on the day, the 84 of Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher has actually been put to the back twice now, once due to the just pre-race issues, and then a second time due to strategy and cautions and whatnot. I can tell you right now, he hands down has probably the fastest car here. He could definitely beat Bubba Wallace if he got to him. And now as we came to the lap 62, he would found a way back to my back bumper, up my inside. I didn't even fight him because you can just see how fast that 84 Red Bull car is. So 2 wins on the season so far for Chris Buescher. Now to lap 65, 20 laps to go. We had passed our teammate of Tyler Reddick. Up into the top 20 we go now, as it's just not been a great day for this Roush LeBron racing team, to say the least. Now as we got up the inside of Timmy Hill, and the 40 car passed him. He's having a decent run here today in Texas. Now as we got to the back of Logano and Alfredo, but then the caution comes up with 16 laps to go here in Texas. It's Bubba Wallace, Christian Eckes, Chase Elliott, your top 3, as we are going to come into the pits for 4 tires and 2 cans of fuel. Made a couple of repairs, lost a few spots due to our pit crew still not being great, so we're down to P21 as we are back underway here for what could be the final restart on the day for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 here in Texas Motor Speedway. Right behind that number 40 of Timmy Hill here. So go down into turns 1. Chase Elliott had the lead on the restart into turns 1. So that McLaren team doing a tremendous job on the pit lane, getting that 9 car out in front as we go down this backstretch here. Just trying to stay in line, make no silly mistakes here as we are nicely rebounding, considering what happened there towards the end of stage 2. So at this point, just don't want to do anything stupid and set ourselves even further back now, as we're still not comfortable enough over that playoff grid right now to make over aggressive moves and whatnot. Now, and when I say over aggressive moves, I don't like to take it over the top, of course, but I'm talking like 3 wide moves and whatnot. So as we go down this front straightaway up the inside of Todd Gilliland, we would be able to get past him. We got to the inside of Joey Logano, and everything kind of goes for a halt here in the final 10 laps of this race, because I could not pass the 22 of Joey Logano, and he was trying to just pinch me down every single turn here that I was alongside him. So it was making it extremely hard to pass now as we're side by side down this back straightaway. I wasn't gonna just let him just force me out of the situation though, so I continue to try and push my way through side by side with Logano. He's pushing me to the apron. I'm just holding my line, hoping for the best, and we continue door to door. Now on lap 78 through turn 3, still side by side with Logano. He pushes me onto the apron once again. We finally though get clear as we come through out of turns 4. We get sideways. We overcorrect into the outside while heavy contact to the outside, while the caution is going to come out for myself now with 6 laps to go. Sorry, that was all on me. There you hear myself on the radio, a little bit dejected right there. We damaged the car. We cannot pit because there wouldn't be enough time to rebound. So we only did 2 seconds of damage to the car. So it's not the end of the world. We will stay out here and try to fight here for a hopefully top 15 finish. Now, one problem for Bubba Wallace is Chris Buescher is going to be lining up on the road directly behind him. So it's been looking like a Bubba Wallace win all day. But now what is potentially the fastest car on the day is right behind him here. For the final restart, it'll be 3 laps to go here for the Texas Motor Speedway. Now right behind that number 22 of Joey Logano, our final 3 laps ever at Texas Motor Speedway in NASCAR Heat 5, and what's the worst track on the NASCAR schedule potentially, and in NASCAR Heat 5. So this is a bittersweet moment for us here in these final couple of laps. I'm not wasting any time, of course, with the 22 of Joey Logano as we go down this back straightaway side by side, 3 wide with him down into turns 3. But fortunately, we would be able to get clear, and then Alfredo got to his inside, so that kept Logano from being able to run into the back of me. Now, Buescher would put the pressure to the inside of Bubba Wallace in these closing laps here. So by the time we came through turns 3 and 4, coming to the final lap, Buescher was side by side on the inside with Bubba Wallace at the start-finish line. They were even pretty much across the line. It would have been a photo finish if that was the final lap into turns 1, though. It's looking like it's going to be an advantage to Chris Buescher, who leads the way out of turn 2, and he is clear, I believe, of the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Now as we're up into 14th place here down this back straightaway side by side with Derek Kraus down into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, and you see Buescher goes to the top, Bubba Wallace to the inside of him through turns 3 and turns 4 for the final time here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. But down the front straightaway, it will be Chris Buescher coming through to win for the 3rd time this season. We come through to cross the line for a top 15 finish there, which was pretty good in my opinion for this team. Now, as you see, our teammate for Roush LeBron, Christopher Bell, finishes in 9th place, but Bubba Wallace has to settle for 2nd place as he lost by about half a car length or so to that number 84 of Buescher. And now that means Chris Buescher has the most wins on the season here, as it was a tie at 2 wins apiece for a few drivers, but Buescher now takes over the top spot there with 3 wins on the season. Lewis Hamilton ends up DNFing there, 75 laps down. Very unfortunate for him in one of the few races we've seen him out of in this season, maybe the only one so far, to be honest. Actually, now as we check out the playoff grids for all 4 series here before we end this episode, locked in for everything except for the Cup Series playoffs, and hopefully we can change that relatively soon. We got some interesting tracks coming up in Texas and Darlington, were 2 tracks I knew I was going to struggle at with this car, so I was pretty happy with our performance. There you see we're still well above the cut line here, so really nothing to be concerned about yet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. In the next one, we go to Pocono for the final time in our NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. So the one final race at the Tricky Triangle. Before we end it, just want to say thank you as well to the Going Racing members of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy R. Line, Hayes Gaming, Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasura, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana 9302, Speed Demon 341, Alice Emery, as well as Jay Fitz. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.